Welcome to Retail Retold, the stories behind how that store landed in your neighborhood. I'm Chris Ressa, in conversation with the people and stories shaping retail and real estate. Brought to you by DLC.
Welcome to Retail Retold, everyone. I'm your host, Chris Ressa. I'm excited for you to join me today. Today, we're going to talk about a few things. It's just me today, no interview. I'm going to tell you how a store ended up where it did. I think you'll find it insightful. So before we get there, what's been going on? Well, first off, just got back from vacation. Went to St. Thomas. If you haven't been, it was my first time to the U.S. Virgin Islands. Really interesting place, super mountainous. I don't love heights. And the first day, our house that we Airbnb'd was on top of this mountain. Views are spectacular. But getting up the mountain, there's some narrow roads. We're in a Jeep Wrangler. It was, my hands are sweating on the steering wheel as we were driving up. Definitely got used to it by the end of the trip, but in the beginning, I was, it was a little scary, I must admit. Trip was great. Our house was overlooking Maid's Bay, which was really cool. And that's where we hung out most of the time, was Maid's Bay. We're definitely a beach family. It was nice. If you can see in the back here, if you're watching on video, we have snow here in the New York area on the ground. And it was nice to get to some sun and fun for a week over the February break. One thing I will say that was interesting. So when my family and I go to a sun and fun place, we typically like to eat at local fish joints. So if you're thinking about it, right, if you go to Florida, you go to anywhere and they'll have like 5 different types of fish, and you could get it grilled, blackened, fried, however you want. You choose the fish, you choose the style, and they bring you grilled fish with some rice and some vegetables. And we love eating that. Not a lot of that, because there's some of the fish, because of the trench in between St. Croix and St. Thomas. There's some neurotoxin that makes some of the fish that comes up out of this trench that makes some of the fish inedible. So most of the food is Caribbean fare food, which is delicious, just unexpected for us. So that was one interesting piece, but the people were super nice. We went on a boat trip that was fantastic. The name of the company was Seas, S-E-A-S, Seize the Day. That was really cool. So overall, fantastic. Kids loved it. Wife loved it. It was an amazing trip. Excited for that, but definitely rejuvenated, recharged, and ready to take on the rest of the year. I was, because of how I planned the trip, with it being over a February break and a President's Day, it was a bit slower in the business world. So I can't say I didn't do any work. I did some. I would say I probably unplugged more than most. And I wouldn't say unplugged, wrong word. I would say it decompressed more than most vacations. So I am energized right now. I'm excited. The only issue, if you're looking at the top of my head, so day 2, I use sunblock, and I just rub the sunblock all over my face. It was the first time, I guess it was the suntan lotion we used, that I had gotten suntan lotion in my eyes, and it was terrible. It took hours to, with eye wash and water or whatever, to get it out. So that was day 2. So the rest of the trip, above my nose, I was like, I'll get burnt. I'm not using suntan lotion. That was insane. And if you look, I've shaved my head, the top of my head is peeling now, because I should have used probably some on the top of my head, but the sweat from the heat was bringing the suntan lotion into my eyes, and it was unbearable. So the rest of the trip, I got probably a bit too much color on my head, and lesson learned, I need some suntan lotion that is tear-free, no doubt. So that's the story there. Anyway, what's been going on? So I want to tell a story about Starbucks in Newburgh. Store's not yet open. However, they are opening soon. And I am excited for this one in Newburgh, New York, Mid-Valley Shopping Center, Mid-Valley Mall. It's not a mall. It's a shopping center, open air, anchored by Market 32. But I am excited about this one because I think it's an interesting time period for open air retail. So, and this deal kind of hits home on some of the opportunities. And I think when you're owning open air retail or you're owning any commercial real estate, well, the easiest way to add value that you control is to lease up vacant space. Well, in a world where there's less vacancy in open air retail, how do you continue to add value to properties? And for us, it's going to be the vacancy and potentially upgrading tenancy. That's always the top of mind and number one. But let's put that aside. What are some other ways that you can increase NOI and add value to properties? Well, I think one is on the renewals. And so there's definitely a focus on, renewal spreads and, especially in an inflationary environment, pushing on renewals. So that's one. Maybe you're able to push the renewals more than you had expected. But that is certainly one area to increase value at properties. The second is that we're very focused on is ancillary income. And, the enclosed mall folks have done this for years in the common areas of malls, right? Where they have done a few things. They've done kiosks, tenants, and they have done sponsorship deals, right? You see advertising deals in enclosed malls all the time. Not as prevalent in the open air. And when I'm thinking of ancillary income, I'm thinking of some different things. So what are some things we've done? One, solar is an opportunity for ancillary income. Two, one of the things we've done a lot of LED lighting at our projects, and that's not necessarily income. It's adding value though, because total electric usage at properties coming down. We've done many of our properties. We've added LED lighting. We've done a billboard deal in Houston, which is really interesting. We're adding a billboard to a property because it sits right on the interstate, and a company that rents out the billboard space is the tenant. So that's fascinating one. So ancillary income. So one is renewals, two is ancillary income, and then three is an oldie but a goodie that people are, I think, in commercial real estate frustrated with, and I'm trying not to get frustrated with and trying to push, which is densifying properties, which is development, right? And development is really challenging in today's day and age. It's obviously more challenging when you have to acquire new land. But if you acquired land previously and you're maybe have a bit of a different basis, development might be a way to add value, and the right development. The second piece that people get frustrated with development, especially in integrated shopping centers, is all the no-build areas and site control that certain tenants may have, which requires waivers. We've talked about waivers on restrictive uses for years now, and that was a hot topic. But the other waiver that you might encounter is that you need from tenants to do a development is the site control, where they have no build areas. Well, if you can get those, you can unlock value. If you get those waivers, you can unlock value in properties where you might not have thought you could develop. And then you have to go through the municipal efforts to get a approved new building that wasn't currently approved. So I think those are the three, really sticky points in trying to get a new development on an existing property done, which is one, can you get the economics to work? And then two, once you get the economics to work, can you get site control on your existing property from tenants to get that building built? And then third, can you get it approved? So we've been doing a bunch of Starbucks deals, and the team had put this property in front of them, and it just so happened they were interested in this property, but finding a location on this property was super challenging. We first started with a vacant end cap and building a drive-through that we couldn't get designed. Right. No, but we couldn't get a design. We couldn't get the queuing to work. It just wasn't going to work. And then time had gone by, and we had tried to figure out where to put them on other parts of the property, and couldn't figure out anything. And then finally, there was this one spot on what I would say the non-main entrance of the property where it's super visible, where we could get them actually freestanding building. And we really hadn't thought of it because the grade change was so severe that we thought it would be too expensive. Well, we ended up working out a deal with Starbucks where we could make the numbers work. We drew the site. So we got the building between DLC and Starbucks, on the same page. Now we have site control issues. Our grocer had, we couldn't take away this part as part of their no build. So we went back and forth with the grocer for some time, some months, to try to figure out a deal to allow them to allow us to build a Starbucks. So after some time, that was a lot of back and forth. Definitely message me if you want to know how that went in more detail. But we got them to agree to allow for Starbucks. And then, and it was interesting because that grocer has, right, it wasn't violating the use, but the grocer they didn't have a restriction on coffee, but they did have the right to sell coffee. So getting that ability to do Starbucks was a coup. So now we've got tenant consents, we've got an economic deal, and we've got a site plan drawing. So we go for approvals, and by and large, this is approved. But one of the things that's a condition, and this was in a public setting, a condition for us to build this Starbucks is, well, there's a water tower site. And the municipality wants us to paint the water tower. And that's a condition to building a Starbucks. And so now you have to go and figure out how to paint a water tower, which is a unique job to be done, right? It's not just the local painter who paints your bedroom. That they don't do typically water towers. This is a very specialized job. So finding the right group to do that, and then to execute on that, and then make the cost work, not easy, but long and the short, the water tower's not paid. The Starbucks isn't built. It's all approved. We're about to start the water tower project. And I'm excited because by the end of this year, Starbucks will be at this property. So I mentioned this because this is the creativity and the effort that in a low vacancy environment it takes to add value to properties. So again, if you're struggling to add value to properties or you're thinking about it, 3 ways that I think are really compelling. Or one, the renewal front. That's always one that is top of mind for folks. But on renewals in today's environment where there's no place for tenants to relocate to, landlords definitely have leverage on renewals. 2, ancillary income, maybe a little bit different than the ancillary income of yesteryear that the enclosed malls used to grow NOI at their properties. And then 3 is, can you densify a project? And that's what we talked about today, a density play at Mid-Valley Mall in Newburgh, New York. With that, that's what I got today. If you haven't gone on a vacation, highly recommend it. It's day 1 back. It's early morning, but I'm fired up. All right, everyone. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Appreciate you watching. Hit subscribe. See you in the next one.